If you feel stuck working in your 50s, I don't believe it's burnout. I think it's more miscalculation. And that's actually good news, because burnout feels emotional and overwhelming. Miscalculation is more practical, and practical can be fixed. Let me explain that a bit. A lot of people in their 50s feel this strange tension. They're tired, they're internally drifting. Work doesn't feel like the main thing anymore. But they can't quite leave yet. And their assumption is, I'm going to have to stay here till I'm 67. And that's the bit I want to challenge. Because for most people, what's really happening isn't that they can't leave. It's that they haven't broken the decade down properly. We treat the 50s like one long tunnel all the way to 67. But it's not one block. It's steps to get there. Now imagine you're 58. State pension starts at 67. So you've got 9 years to fill. And if you need £30,000 a year to live, that will be £270,000 to bridge that full gap. And when you say it like that, it sounds enormous. So your brain goes, I'm stuck. But that assumes you earn zero. You can't reduce your spending. You can't adjust your lifestyle. You can't phase down. You can't take part-time income. You can't use a pension more flexibly. Most people don't model options. They model worst-case permanence. Now, there's a better way to look at it. Break that gap into 3 blocks. Years 1 to 3, years 4 to 6, and years 7 to 9. And now ask, do I need to cover all 9 years at once? Or could I redesign the first 3 years, for example? Now, if you worked part-time for the first 3 years and you earned £15,000 a year, but you needed £30,000 a year to live on, now your pension only has to supply you with £15,000. And that reduced your first block from 90,000 to 45,000. And already that impossible gap is shrinking. Now, obviously you can do something similar in the second block. But if you did nothing, by the time you reach your year 4, for example, your pot's largely intact. And when state pension starts at 67, your required draw from investment drops again. And that's the bit people miss. The pressure does reduce over time. It doesn't stay constant forever. And this is where I want to be clear about something. If you're using something like the 4% withdrawal strategy, that doesn't reset at any given period, like at 67. You don't suddenly start again. But what does change is your required withdrawal amount. If your spending needs drop because state pension comes in, you naturally reduce pressure on the portfolio. And that's the guardrail approach. It's not rigid, it's not reckless, it's more responsive. And here's the real psychological shift. You're not trapped in a job. You're trapped in an all or nothing model. Full salary or retirement. And that's what keeps people frozen. A controlled exit strategy looks like this. Step 1, calculate your real annual need. Not your peak spending year, your realistic lifestyle number. And step 2, work out the bridge to state pension. Clear, honest, no drama. Step 3, design one reduction move. Not retirement, reduction. Now that could be part-time income, a bit of consultancy, maybe a lower stress role, or seasonal work, or just reduce your hours. You don't have to escape in one jump. You kind of step down. And that's what most people who retire before 67 actually do. They phase it. They don't just vanish. And when you think about it like that, the feeling changes. You're not stuck. You're just looking at the staircase from the bottom instead of from the bottom step. And if you're thinking, well, that's fine, but I still feel nervous about running out of money. Well, good. You should. Which is why I always say carry a 2 to 3 year cash buffer once you're drawing down from investments. And that protects you from market drops. It gives you psychological stability. and it stops you from selling investments when they're down. And that's control, design, and it's not panic. So if you feel stuck working your 50s, it probably isn't because you're incapable of retiring. It's because you haven't broken the decade into something more manageable. That's fixable. And once you see it that way, the feeling shifts more from trapped to being strategic.